welcome as we take this moment to discuss issues around climate smart agriculture. Of course, we know the fact that the climate is changing is quite obvious. It can no longer be argued, and the challenges coming with climate change is here with us on our farms, in our compounds, and affecting every part of our being. Now, agricultural production has devised a means to adjust, a response to the changes in the climate or alterations in the climatic variables. So these responses come under the package, the climate smart agriculture. So in this session, we'll be discussing the digitalization of climate smart agriculture. At the end of this session, we need to be very sure that each and every one of you understand the concept of digitalization of CSA. CSA here stands for Climate Smart Agriculture, and then you should be able to discuss effectively as to the level of awareness of farmers to the use of digital tools in climate smart agriculture, highlight sources of information on climate smart digital tools, and then you should also be able to look at the factors affecting the use of digital tools in CSA, benefits of digital tools in CSA, and then the challenges of digitalization of CSA in Nigeria. Of course, not forgetting that we will also be able to list digital tools. We may not list all of them. But at least we should be able to list as many digital tools that are available to Nigerian farmers when it comes to climate smart agriculture. What is digitalization of CSA? We'll discuss digitalization of CSA. What we are saying here is simply the use of digital tools, for climate smart agricultural practices. Of course, as the climate is changing, it's expected that the farmer will also respond. They say since the Elekebe bird has learned to fly without perching, the hunters also they've learned to shoot without targeting. So when we bring in digital tools, towards the management of climatic issues as they relate to agriculture, then we are talking about digitalization of CSA. It's important that we differentiate between digitalization and digitization. These are concepts that look so closely, but then they are quite different. Digitization has to do with the conversion of analog, tools to digitals. When you convert analog agricultural tools or analog farming tools to digitals, that is digitization. But then the digitalization now has to do with all the mental processes, all the adoption processes that farmers will go through in order to use these digital tools. So if we successfully convert analog tools to digitals, then we have digitalization. If we successfully convert analog tools to digitals, then we have digitization. But if we successfully ensure that farmers now begin to make use of these digitals, then we can say that the farmers have been digitalized. You can now say that agricultural production, climate smart agriculture has been digitalized. I hope that makes adequate sense to all of us. The big question is, are farmers in Nigeria aware of digital tools in CSA? Because it's important that we discuss this, knowing fully well that it will be very difficult, if not impossible, for farmers to adapt to digital tools if they are not aware. So in this particular aspect, we want to look at farmers' awareness of digital tools, especially as they relate to climate smart agriculture. Most publications point to the fact that farmers in Nigeria are aware of digital tools. I will encourage us to, please, students, make out time to read, go to the internet and search for journals and publications on this. Reports on farmers' awareness of the use of digital tools in Nigeria show an undulating pattern subject to the type of digital tools under consideration. If we look at it very well, uh, there is a low level of awareness of high-tech digital tools among farmers. There are some publications that refer to B, Ifeanyi B et al. And some others in their studies prove that the level of awareness of digital tools among farmers when it comes to high tech is very low. Farmers encounter several challenges in the practice of CSA that the use of digital tools could address, but they are not aware of these tools. That is serious issue that must be carefully handled. The lack of knowledge of the capacity of digital tools to support the sustainability of smallholder farmers due to the lack of government policies is a structural barrier to the digitalization of CSL practices. Farmers' awareness of the digitalization of climate smart agriculture is directly related to the adoption of digital tools and may reduce their vulnerability to climate change and improve their adaptive and buffer capacity. Now, if you look at it again, apart from weak institution, a lack of awareness of existing innovations is a serious criteria factor that is influencing adoption of technology in agriculture. That farmers are aware of the inefficiencies of the indigenous knowledge-based CSA practices may not be enough to arouse their interest in using digital tools. What will arouse their interest the more is that awareness of the benefits of these tools. So we will need to ensure that as extension officers, we need to ensure that as extension officers, as professionals, we do our best to encourage farmers to, to know about these tools and then to make use of them. Of course, there are reports of an increase in the use of digital tools for agricultural extension over the years. Now, we have several reports pointing to an increase. So more farmers are currently using digital tools, but a lot still needs to be done. We look at the next issue. Where do they get information on digital tools? The major sources of information on digital tools among farmers in Nigeria include majorly from the internet, and then other sources would include publication reports, friends and families. They get these information from them, from personal observations and experience, and then from the extension officers. These are major areas that seem to avail farmers of the information required regarding to the use of digital tools. On the increase on the use of internet by farmers, of course, we have noticed as they go by, there is an increase in the use of digital tools, of internet, I mean, please, of internet by farmers. There have been reports by early research work that major hindrances to farmers' awareness of digital tools is their difficulty in accessing information and messages from the web, and this has reduced the likelihood of implementing digital tools in development countries. Most developing countries find it very difficult to implement digital tools. Now, effective agricultural extension and advisory services will assist in the reduction of information asymmetry that relates to the digitalization of CSL practices and raise farmers' awareness of the benefits of digital tools in addressing the challenges encountered in CSA. However, it's good that we also state clearly that the agricultural extension service in Nigeria has been reported to be dwindling since the withdrawal of the World Bank Counterpart Fund. Let's look at the digital tools that are available to farmers in Nigeria. That's the issues we'll be considering in our next class. That will be the core points. What are those digital tools available to farmers in Nigeria? Thank you again for your time.